Hello everybody. As you may know, I was kicked off of TikTok about a week or two ago. I kind of saw it coming. I actually did a video talking about how, since all my videos were getting censored, we must be over the target. And don't be surprised if there's even a communication blackout that comes soon. And sure enough, shortly after that, I was kicked off of TikTok, and then Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp had all those outages that happen in the social media realm, and there were other platforms that had some issues as well. I think it was like 7 or 8 hours long, so that was pretty wild. Once again, just confirming that we're over the target and confirming that prophetically the Lord is speaking through his people, and confirming a lot of these words that have came forth. If you don't know me, my name's Dustin Rosen, and about 2.5 years ago now, I asked the Lord, why is there such evil in all these realms? Like, I looked out in the entertainment realm, in the education realm, in the media realm, and I was like, wow, God, like, I know that, the world is going to do its thing, and, of course there's going to be bad things out there and evil things out there, but I was specifically upset that there were so many people in these high platforms that were having an influence on so many different people that were leading them astray. And the Lord answered me, and he said that there's going to be a season where he lets his light shine on the land, which is going to expose the land. It's going to reveal people's nakedness. They're going to be there in the spotlight, and in those moments they're going to have a decision to make, to do the right thing or to do the wrong thing. And the Lord elaborated and said they'll walk the way of Paul or Judas, because Paul was knocked off his horse by the light. He was completely exposed there, and he repented, turned from his ways, and then wrote almost 2/3 of the New Testament, beforehand killing Christians. So pretty radical change there after the light shined on him and he was exposed. And then with Judas, the light shined on him and he was completely exposed at the Last Supper. Jesus said, one of you is going to betray me. And that even in front of the disciples who walked with Jesus for 3 years now, and Judas, who had walked with Jesus for 3 years now, I mean, this guy's got to see the light in action. Like, he got to see things Jesus did that many never saw happen. So for a man like that to see all of that and then be exposed at the Last Supper and still decide, don't care, I'm still going to go turn him in just like I had planned to do. See, he didn't. He was exposed and chose to do the wrong thing in the midst of all that. So, that was the two things that the Lord had showed me that were going to happen: light shining, light exposing, creating a choice. And then the next thing is, if they chose to walk the way of Paul, you would see the fruits of that. If they chose to walk the way of Judas, you would start to see the fruits of that. Well, if you walk the way of Judas, eventually there comes a time where justice has to occur. You have walked far enough down the road of darkness. You've even been given chances by the light who's exposed you and gave you a choice to repent and turn, and you still decided to walk the wrong way. And there's consequences of that. In Romans 1, it talks about how when people reject the light, they're given over to a depraved mind. They walk the road of darkness. They've rejected God, even though God has made himself plain to them. And that's what you see in Judas's life, and that's what you see in Pharaoh's life. God brought 10 plagues on the land. He tried to make it so clear that he is in control and that he is the victor here to Pharaoh, and yet Pharaoh still continued to reject God and do whatever he wanted to do. And we ultimately saw the justice with Pharaoh. And the Red Sea story, has so much significance in this season because it speaks to the context and perception, the understanding that we're going to reach a place where it seems like it's the ultimate pain right before the ultimate gain. We're going to reach a place where it feels like all is lost and then all is won. And that's the Red Sea story. The Israelites are on their way down to the Red Sea, and they have sensed victory. They have already could taste the victory of leaving Egypt after so many years of slavery. And then there they are at the Red Sea, and the Egyptians are coming down the hill to take them out. And this must have been the most intense moment for them. And that's why I believe, I'm going to talk about this in a second here, but I believe that we are there. We're right about in that really intense moment in this season where that ultimate choice is going to have to be made. Justice is going to be done. You know, and a lot of things, I'm getting a bee here against me. He doesn't like talking about this. Demon bees, get out of here in Jesus' name. Yeah. Anyhow, so, you know, they're in this incredibly intense moment, thinking that they had victory. Now the Egyptians are running down the hill against them. And what they didn't know is that God purposely had them go in a circle and then stop at the Red Sea. Because he wanted to trick Pharaoh into thinking that the Israelites were trapped, when really it was a trap set for him. So we see the Israelites backs against the wall, feeling like all is lost, ultimate pain, intense, just, whoa, this is going to be insane. We finally made it, and now we're done. In the Red Sea splits, they walk across the Red Sea, but even in those moments, you're going to have waves on each side of them. Like, that must have been so intense to have waves on each side of you walking through this Red Sea. There's men, there's women, there's children, and they have their livestock that they're trying to carry across, and there's winds and water coming, you know, sprinkling over them, and it's like any second now, like, this is not supposed to happen. Like, I've never seen just a Red Sea split or any sea split or any ocean split. So here I am walking on, you know, in underneath two separate massive waves, and it's like, this is not supposed to happen. So is it going to come down on me? Like, it must have been so intense for them to walk through this. And sure enough, it says in the word that God put light in front of them and darkness behind them, and the angel left the front and went to the back to protect them from the Egyptians. And then God ultimately jams the chariot wheels of the Egyptians. The Israelites get across, and the Red Sea drops on the enemy, and there's victory. But that entire moment must have been so intense. And, you know, I believe number one is that God wants to make his name known. And it says right in the word that he not only wanted to make his name known to the Israelites, but also to the Egyptians, so that they know that he is the great I am. He is the one that has the final say. He has the ultimate power, and there's no one, anything could do. Nothing can come against that. So, yes, so you have that moment there with the Red Sea, and it's like God's people was able to feel what it was like to almost die, to not have God, and then just like that, they were able to feel how alive that they were with having God. And I think God wanted them to experience that moment so that they never forgot that in their worst possible storm, God rescued them and saved them. And simultaneously to the Egyptians, that when the enemy was so close to having the victory that they thought that they were going to have, they lost, because God wins. God wins. The enemy does not win. God wins. So that's the season that we're in right now. I believe that we are reaching, you know, the cusp of that intense moment. And the one thing I wanted to share with you guys today is related to this intense moment. There's a similar story with Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, and I was reading it last week, and I'm thinking about Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego getting put in front of this fire that was 7 times hotter. First of all, it was so hot that the people, the Babylonian Empire people that put them into the fire, they didn't go into the fire, but they died because the fire was so hot. So they died even by getting close to the fire. And the Lord really put me in that place where I was like, wow, like, God, I don't know if I was put in front of a fire like that. I'd like to think that I would have never bowed down to the enemy, and I would have just went into the fire. And it's such an easy thing to say when you're like sitting out here, especially in America. I got my home, I'm like, have my chair, and like, you know, I'm comfortable out here for the most part. I have a job, and then I don't have death knocking at my door. So it's so easy to say like, oh, I would never turn my back on God, like, and it's like, okay, but let me put you in front of a furnace where I'm going to throw you in there unless you bow down to this guy. And like I said, I'd like to think that I would never do that. And it just got me thinking about it all. And God like put me in a place where I was there and I could feel like the intensity of it. And I'm like, wow, what incredible men that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego were, even being faced with fire in their faces, that they still chose to do what was right by the Lord. And God said that, he brought me to the scripture about how, there's an allotted amount of grace, that's given to us. And I believe that that also goes with like his power and his peace. Right now it's not needed for me to have this supernatural power and peace because I'm just chilling out here in my backyard next to a tree. I have complete peace just because I don't feel threatened. Like there's no snakes around me. I'm just like chilling out here in my backyard and like I'm fine. Like, and I have peace from the Lord 100%. But if I was placed in front of a fire, the intensity of this situation would be so magnified, and it would probably shake every part of my being. But God said that I can allot more power and more peace to you for that situation. So it was so comforting because it's like, God, the peace of the Lord is within us in Jesus. So no matter where we go and what situation that we are in, He can supernaturally give us that increase of peace for whatever situation that we are in. So if you think about a really, really bad situation where you're at right now, you may say, wow, I don't even know if I'd be able to get through that. But if you actually got brought to that situation, you would have this supernatural peace that was specifically meant for that situation, because there's nothing out there, there's no situation, and there's no person that can take away what you have in the Lord. And I say all this to say that I do believe that we are getting closer to the end of this season, and it's going to be very intense for a lot of people, for all people, just like it was for Moses and the Israelites by the Red Sea, and then just like it was for Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, being right there in front of a fire. And we need to have great courage that no matter how bad that you think that it could get, the Lord will provide the supernatural abilities of peace and power and comfort and wisdom for the situation. So, that's where I believe that we are at, and that we're getting closer to the finalization of some things. And, that's all from a spiritual perspective, right? So from a natural perspective, you see you see what I see in the natural is this power grab that has been going on for quite some time now. It's controlled by the old guard. They're the ones that are technically still in power, but right now the Lord is taking down the old guard and bringing in the new guard. And I've talked about this in other videos, but the old guard represents those who control the levers of power. So for example, like if you turn on YouTube right now and you go to like a conservative voice, whether it's a Trump rally or some other conservative voice, the ratio of likes to dislike is going to be, it's going to blow the water out of any like radical left liberal type video that you see up there on YouTube. And that is telling you that the majority of people are on the conservative side. The majority of people are on that side, not on the liberal radical left side. But because the radical liberals left side control the levers of power, they can make you feel like there's actually more of them than there is of you. And that's just simply not true. It's just they own these big media corporations, you know, and they have control over the entertainment realms and what actors and actresses say, and what these musician artists say. They have control over those things. So you see these people or these companies with these massive followings come out and say something, and it makes you feel like, well, that's where a majority of people are at. But in reality, it's not where a majority of people are at. People are actually against these things. And right now, the Great Awakening is in process. You know, I have other videos here. We started with the fake awakening, where you saw, you know, COVID released, and the whole BLM riots and whatnot, and you saw the Russia gate and the Ukraine gate and all the fake news against Trump, you know, because Trump, although Trump is part of the New Guard, he just plays a specific part in all this. So he's part of the New Guard. He's a big part of the New Guard, and that's why you've seen so much attack against him, because the old guard knows without Trump as part of the New Guard, it will be very hard for the New Guard to have victory in this season if they can get, if Trump's not there, because it's just the way that God decided to do it. You know, any movement has some type of leader, and that's who God decided who would be the leader of the New Guard. So, where I was going with that is that, so there was a fake awakening first, and a lot of people jumped on it. You know, they were like, you know, BLM and, racial justice, COVID, you know, lock your doors, everybody wear 10 masks, and, you know, like, it was so intense. It was this, like, you know, it just, every media company, you know, for BLM, every media channel, BLM, ESPN, BLM. You know, you go to the NFL stadiums and it's BLM, and the NBA and it's got on their jerseys, and you go to the MLB and it's saying BLM, and it's like, whoa, okay, that came out of nowhere over one man that passed away. And we could go into all day of that, who that man was, and all the backdoor conspiracies on that whole thing. But my point is that this came out of nowhere, and my spirit instantly was like, no, something's not right here. This is very controlled and very pushed, and it represented the fake awakening. You know, it's like, you could easily say, well, why don't we have, how about the millions of children who are trafficked every year? Why isn't that on the media channels? Why isn't some of their names on the back of jerseys? You know, why aren't we talking about child trafficking on ESPN? Because that's, you could go down deeper roads here, but it's because some of the people that are in charge of these levers of power, like entertainment realms and media realms and education realms, they are involved with that stuff. So of course you can't highlight that. You got to keep it dormant. And that's what the fake awakening represents. It basically is a way to convince people to go the wrong way. It's built on lies and deception, and their goal is to try to get you to not go down any of the truth roads. They want you to just believe the lie so that they can stay in control. But because it's built on lies and deception, the factor in all this is the Lord, because the Lord is causing a great awakening upon the land. And the Great Awakening represents people waking up to not believing lies and deception. So when you have people that are waking up to not believing lies and deception, and the enemy's whole entire plan is only successful if people believe lies and deceptions, it completely backfires for them. You know, people start to wake up and they're like, well, I'm not going to watch the media anymore because they're a bunch of liars. And then they lose millions of dollars. And people are like, well, I'm not going to go to the sports games anymore because they're trying to push these agendas, and then they lose millions of dollars. I'm not going to take the JAB, and then all of a sudden you see, like we just saw happen, the airlines losing millions of dollars. Well, you know, when the Great Awakening, as the Great Awakening continues to come, you know, you have people that are just not believing the lies and deception anymore. And that's a big problem for the old guard, because they need you to believe the lies and deception. They want you to go and get the jab, not because the jab may or may not hurt you, but because it's a step in their plan. You know, from there it would go into the passports, and oh, you can't get groceries if you don't have this. Oh, you didn't get your third booster or your fourth booster, you know, well, you're not going to be able to do this. And if you want to maintain food and you want to be able to go to places, then you also need to turn in all your guns. You know, it's all a agenda to establish further control. You know, the little side pocket conversations about do vax works, do mask works, you know, do lockdowns work, you know, this and that and the other, those things are irrelevant, because the main thing here is that there's an agenda to establish more control, and there's using certain things to do it. So the people are waking up to that, and they're not complying, and they're allowing themselves to get fired, which is causing a big problem for businesses. They're coming out against it. You know, they're not being in fear anymore. You see the college football stadiums where there's just massive amounts of people out there. I could go on, but there's a great awakening that is happening right now, and it is simultaneously causing the enemy to destroy themselves, because they need people to believe lies and deception. So what we're seeing is walls close in right now. We see the one plan that is trying to roll out, or let's start right here. So this is the evil plan trying to move its plan across, right? That's what it's trying to do. Well, it was going just fine, but now the people are saying, wait a minute, no, we've reached the precipice and we're not going to go forward with your plan anymore. When this happens, right, when these two fingers snap of people rising up and not complying, and the enemy not being able to get, you know, he's trying to push his plan this way, but it's not happening anymore. There's a lock of horns, right? The walls close in. There's a lock of horns that finally occurs. We're like here right now, guys. When this happens, when there's the final lock of the horns, that's going to represent that Red Sea moment where it's as intense as it possibly can be. That's going to represent that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego moment where they're right in front of the fire, and it's like, what are you going to do? We're going to get to this, and there's going to be, you know, there's going to be a big storm, and because the precipice is there, and, you know, it's going to look wild. It's going to look wild, man. It's going to look wild. There's going to be a lot of different things, and there's going to be a lot of fake news going back and forth and all over the place. And, you know, I think at this moment right here, you may see finally Trump reveal himself as either always was in control or now is back into control, because he's waiting for this moment, because he really wants the people to rise up. He's been waiting for the people to rise up. He literally said that. He said this is not a transition from power from president to president. This is a transition from president to we the people, because this country was formed on a constitution that benefits the people at the most. Well, for years now, the people have just said, no, just let them do it. Just let the politicians do it. Just let them have all control. We just want to live our life. Well, because they've allowed that to happen, people have gotten greedy. They've cut corners. They've wanted more power. They've wanted more control, and they've gotten more corrupt as the days went on. And now the people are finally waking up to it, like, holy crap, we've been sitting around just drinking lemonade and watching TV and like doing nothing that's productive. Meanwhile, there's an old guard that's trying to establish even further more control on us, and we have to wake up now. So I hope that I explained that well. There's just so much there. Like, if someone comes up to me and they're like, why do you believe what you believe? It's like, well, how much time do you have? Because there's a lot to go through in this season. There really is. If you want full clarity of everything that's happening right now, there's a lot to go through. From a spiritual sense, you could just be like, I just know that this isn't okay. You don't need evidence. You just know the Spirit is letting you know, testifying to you, this is wrong. There you go. But in the natural realm, it requires the mind, and like you have to go through all these different things to like break it all down and make your point known. And it's a lot to go through. And there's a lot of walls that need to be broken down in the mind. There's a lot of barriers that need to be broken down in the mind. There's a lot of like biases and lack of humility, someone that doesn't want to be proven wrong that's in their mind and in themselves. So even if you can break it down and have evidence, it's hard for them to grasp it because their whole identity is literally built on those lies and deception. And if they admitted that you're right, they're also admitting that they've believed lies and deception, and people don't want to do that. They don't want to say that they believe lies and deception. They want to believe that they're right, and they're going to try to find anything they possibly can to show that they're right so that they could have comfort with that they are in control of their life and that someone's not lying to them. So it's a lot to go through. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys an update on all of that. I kind of gave you a rundown through everything there from some of the prophetic revelation that I've had. Hope that you guys are living it up on TikTok, because I'm not allowed there. 43,000 followers, and now they're gone. I don't really care about followers, though. Like, it is what it is. Like, the Lord is in control, and if he wants his message to be spoken through me, then he'll reach you one way or the other. He just will. So whether it's here or in person or on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, TikTok, whatever, it doesn't really matter, because God is in control and he has his messengers, and he will put whoever he wants in front of you to speak about these things. So we're getting there, guys. And thanks to anyone that would want to subscribe and follow along here. It encourages me, not because it's like, oh yeah, I got another follower, like woohoo, like I don't really care about that stuff. It encourages me that the Lord would use the words that are coming out of my mouth to help people and to speak truth in this season. Like, that's encouraging when someone is like, hey, I'm with you, because it's like, wow, to me, that's like God is like, see, I'm speaking truth through you, and people are responding. And that's just great encouragement. It really is. So, because you want to know that, like, what you're hearing, you want to know what you're saying is being confirmed by the Lord. So there's the complete rundown, I think, of a lot. I'm getting used to this YouTube thing too, or just talking in a camera like this so long. If you were in front of me, the conversation may have went a lot differently, but it's this weird thing. Like, I'm behind a phone camera right now, and I'm like talking to people behind a screen. It's like, it's not natural. So sometimes my words and the way that I say things may not come out as natural. I'm trying to do better of like just having a pretend conversation that like you're there right now. So hope that all came out well, guys. We're just under 30 minutes right now, and I didn't even want to go over 20. So God bless you. Remain in the Lord. It is him who protects those in the shadow of the Almighty. Like, he is the great protector in this season. There's nothing else that could protect you more than him, or keep you safe more than him. There's a land of Goshen for all of those that have rested in the Lord. So, you know, get right with him. Be wise, you know, prepare, stock up some food, get anything, any household things that you may need for a storm type moment, and stay blessed, because the blessing of the Lord follows us wherever we go, if you are within him. Okay guys, hope to do another video soon. God bless.